Now that was really interesting. What the hell happened? And I was so scared. I really needed some days to digest it and to come out of my totally shell-shocked state. Let me tell you why. But first, for those who don't know me yet, I'm Christine. I'm an IEMT practitioner. I'm a hypnotist and coach, and I work mostly with creatives and artists to help them move through their fears, be stronger than their self-doubt, so they can not only free their mind, but also therefore create better and just be themselves. So let me tell you something surreal. That last video that I did, it totally blew my mind because I am used to create something and to throw it out there, and that's it. Like in my world, I have been used to speaking to a very small and intimate group of people. Social media has its way of making you feel you're really invisible and that you're pouring your heart out there into the void, like you don't matter and nothing you say matters. And it can feel safe for a long time. And suddenly it felt like I walked into this room packed with people. I was like, what? It's overwhelming in the best way possible, but also scary. And it made one thing very clear. I am not alone. And you are not alone. So to every single one of you who watched it and subscribed even to this channel, thank you. Truly, it matters a lot to me. And I'm so grateful that you're here. But can I be honest for a second? With all of this, something else crept in. That weird little voice in my head whispering, and now, Christine, go back into hiding. You're not ready for this. You can't stomach being visible. Does that sound familiar? Let's talk about it. A lot of us live in this constant internal war. A part of us wants to be seen, to share our work, our voice, our story. But the other part, it's terrified. What if being seen feels just too much? What if they notice you and think, meh, I'm not impressed? Being seen is complicated, isn't it? On one hand, it's what we crave, especially as creatives, as artists, but also just as people. We put our work out there because we want it to matter. We want to connect. We want to belong. But on the other hand, being seen means also being vulnerable. It means facing scrutiny, real or imagined. So being visible doesn't feel good, but being invisible doesn't feel good either. Don't get me wrong. At first it does. It's safe. No one can hurt you when you're not seen. But on the other hand, you pour your heart into something and crickets. It's like yelling into the void. It's like living in a vacuum. So you would think actually being seen is the goal in the end, right? Recognition, connection, validation. But when people start paying attention, it's like walking into the spotlight and suddenly you feel every crack in your armor, especially when you are more on the introverted side of things, like I am. And this isn't just in your head. The spotlight effect is a well-documented phenomenon. Our brain overestimates how much other people actually notice us. It's like our inner critic puts a magnifying glass on everything we do. And then, of course, it assumes that the whole world must see it too. And if you are a creative person, this is even magnified tenfold. Why? Because your work is so personal, so intimate. It's not just what you do, it is who you are. Your art, your ideas, your creations, they feel like pieces of you. So that fear isn't just about failure, it's also about misinterpretation, rejection, the worry that people won't see the way you want to be seen. And this is a dilemma that a lot of creatives, especially creatives, face, but not only creatives, to be seen or not to be seen. And both come with a reward, but also with a cost. But what we often don't realize is that the real battle isn't between visibility and invisibility. It's about how we see ourselves. Because the truth is, no matter how big or small the audience, the loudest critic will always be the one in our own head. So let's take a moment and talk about that inner voice for a minute. You know, the one, what if they think I'm not good enough? What if they realize I don't belong here? What if, what if, what if? Catastrophic scenario, doom and gloom, dark and twisty. And here's where things get really absurd. The people who most likely feel like an imposter, it's the high achievers, very successful people, and a lot of creatives. They're working hard, they care, and they still wonder if they deserve it. And I'm seeing it time and time again firsthand. I work with some of the most successful, uber-talented clients you can imagine, from the creative, but also from the non-creative field. People you would look at and you think, wow, they have got it all together. But behind the scenes, they think the same. They feel the same. That same voice whispers to them too. How often did I look at them and think, my God, I wish you could see what I see. I can remind them that their worth isn't tied to anyone else's opinion. But do I always believe it myself? So I'm not immune to that same struggles. The difference is I have made peace with that voice. Not always, but more often than not. I have learned not to fight it all the time, but rather to understand it. Because the imposter syndrome doesn't just go away, it evolves with you. It changes shape as you grow. And so do you. And if there's one thing I have seen time and time again, it's this. The ones who feel like imposters are often exactly where they are meant to be. They are the ones who are doing the work, who are learning, who grow, and who are actually showing up, even when it's hard. And even if it's uncomfortable and painful. Imposter syndrome, that fear of judgment, rejection, being seen as a dumb idiot with lots of luck, doesn't care about your resume, your accolades, your Instagram following, your achievements. It thrives on that doubt of yours, and it grows louder the more you care about what you're doing and the more you do, actually. So here is what I have learned. Feeling like that imposter doesn't mean you are one. That voice isn't proof you don't belong. It's proof that you care. It shows you are aware of your limitations and that you are pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. This is totally out of mind. So the next time that voice pops up, instead of taking it as a sign that you are failing, take it as a sign you're growing. It means you're pushing your boundaries. You're stepping outside the comfortable little box where nothing grows. And we always want to get rid of that inner critic. We want to throw it overboard and never ever experience those negative thoughts again. But the more you fight, the louder it gets. The more you resist, the more you hate it, the more it asks for your attention. Because that voice, perhaps it's not your enemy. It shows you that you care enough to want to get it right. And so it moves you into action. So I ask you, what if? You don't have to silence the voice completely. You just have to stop letting it drive the car and make decisions for you. What if you can accept it as your partner in crime that wants to support you, yet also push you from time to time? One thing that helps me to keep doing this is that I remind myself of why I am doing this. When the noise gets really loud, come back to your why. Have a listen to Simon Sinek, who talks a lot about our why. Are you creating to impress? Are you creating to please someone? Or are you creating because it is who you are? The stronger your why, the quieter the what ifs become. The negative what ifs, that is. You could also reframe your fear and change your relationship to it over time. So, what if your fear of being seen isn't a sign that you are not ready, but a sign that you are doing something brave? Fear doesn't mean stop. Fear often means go. And you could also ask yourself, who wins actually when you are staying invisible? And who loses if you're staying invisible? No one really wins, but someone might lose out on something, because this and what you're doing isn't just about you. Your work, your story, your art, someone out there might just need that. Someone's life even could change because you decided to show up today. What if people are waiting for you to be brave? So many feel the tension between being seen and staying hidden. But the only way out is through. And if you're here watching this, maybe, just maybe, you are also ready to step into your light, into the light, on your terms and in your way. So let me know in the comments, what's the one thing that you have been holding back on sharing, but that's useful and beneficial? And what's one small step that you can take to bring it into the world? And once again, thank you for spending time with me, and thank you for being here, for seeing me, and for letting me see you. See you next time. Keep creating. Bye for now.